Welcome to Andy Reads the Bible, where we're reading through the Bible from Genesis to Revelation in 1 year. I'm your host, Andy Brassfield. Today is January the 19th, and I'll be reading Exodus 5 through 8 from the Message translation. Exodus chapter 5. After that, Moses and Aaron approached Pharaoh. They said, God, the God of Israel, says, "Free my people so that they can hold a festival for me in the wilderness." Pharaoh said, "And who is God that I should listen to him and send Israel off? I know nothing of this so-called God, and I'm certainly not going to send Israel off." They said, "The God of the Hebrews has met with us. Let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness, so we can worship our God, lest he strike us with either disease or death." But the king of Egypt said, "Why on earth, Moses and Aaron, would you suggest the people be given a holiday? Back to work." Pharaoh went on, "Look, I've got all these people freeloading, and now you want to reward them with time off?" Pharaoh took immediate action. He sent down orders to the slave drivers and their underlings. "Don't provide straw for the people for making bricks as you have been doing. Make them get their own straw and make them produce the same number of bricks. No reduction in their daily quotas. They're getting lazy. They're going around saying, 'Give us time off so we can worship God.' Crack down on them. That'll cure them of their whining and their God fantasies." The slave drivers and their underlings went out to the people with their new instructions. "Pharaoh's orders, no more straw provided. Get your straw wherever you can find it, and not one brick less in your daily work quota." The people scattered all over Egypt, scrambling for straw. The slave drivers were merciless. Saying, "Complete your daily quota of bricks, the same number as when you were given straw." The Israelite foremen, whom the slave drivers had appointed, were beaten and badgered. "Why didn't you finish your quota of bricks yesterday or the day before, and now again today?" The Israelite foreman came to Pharaoh and cried out for relief. "Why are you treating your servants like this? Nobody gives us any straw, and they tell us, 'Make bricks.' Look at us. We're being beaten, and it's not our fault." But Pharaoh said, "Lazy. That's what you are, lazy. That's why you whine. Let us go so we can worship God." "Well then, go. Go back to work. Nobody's going to give you straw, and at the end of the day, you better bring in your full quota of bricks." The Israelite foremen saw that they were in a bad way, having to go back and tell their workers not one brick short in your daily quota. As they left Pharaoh, they found Moses and Aaron waiting to meet them. The foreman said to them, "May God see what you've done and judge you. You've made us stink before Pharaoh and his servants. You've put a weapon in his hand that's going to kill us." Moses went back to God and said, "My master, why are you treating this people so badly? And why did you ever send me? From the moment I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, things have gotten only worse for this people. And rescue? Does this look like rescue to you?" Chapter 6. God said to Moses, "Now you'll see what I'll do to Pharaoh. With a strong hand, he'll send them out free, and with a strong hand, he'll drive them out of his land." God continued speaking to Moses, reassuring him, "I am God. I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as the strong God, but by my name I am present. I was not known to them. I also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the country in which they lived as sojourners. But now I've heard the groanings of the Israelites, whom the Egyptians continue to enslave, and I've remembered my covenant. Therefore tell the Israelites, I am God. I will bring you out from under the cruel hard labor of Egypt. I will rescue you from slavery. I will redeem you, intervening with great acts of judgment. I'll take you as my own people, and I'll be God to you. You'll know that I'm God, your God, who brings you out from under the cruel hard labor of Egypt. I'll bring you into the land that I promised to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and give it to you as your own country. I am God. But when Moses delivered this message to the Israelites, they didn't even hear him. They were that beaten down in spirit by the harsh slave conditions. Then God said to Moses, Go and speak to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, so that he will release the Israelites from his land. Moses answered God, Look, the Israelites won't even listen to me. How do you expect Pharaoh to? And besides, I stutter. But God again laid out the facts to Moses and Aaron regarding the Israelites and King Pharaoh of Egypt. And he again commanded them to lead the Israelites out of the land of Egypt. These are the heads of the tribes, the sons of Reuben, Israel's firstborn, Hanok, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. These are the families of Reuben. The sons of Simeon, Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Sohar, and Saul, the son of a Canaanite woman. These are the families of Simeon. These are the names of the sons of Levi in the order of their birth: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. Levi lived 137 years. The sons of Gershon by family: Libni, Shimei. The sons of Kohath: Amram, Izhar, Hebron, Uzziel. Kohath lived to be 133. The sons of Merari: Mali and Mushi. These are the sons of Levi in the order of their birth. Amram married his aunt Jochebed, and she had Aaron and Moses. Amram lived to be 137 years old. The sons of Ishar: Korah, Nepheg, and Zikri. The sons of Uzziel: Mishael, Elzaphan, and Zithri. Aaron married Elisheba, the daughter of Aminadab, and the sister of Nahshon. And she had Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. The sons of Korah: Asir, Elkanah, and Abiasaph. These are the families of the Korahites. Aaron's son Eleazar married one of the daughters of Putiel, and she had Phinehas. These are the heads of the Levite families, family by family. This is the Aaron and Moses whom God ordered bring the Israelites out of the land of Egypt clan by clan. These are the men, Moses and Aaron, who told Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to release the Israelites from Egypt. And that's how things stood when God spoke to Moses in Egypt. God addressed Moses, saying, I am God. Tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, everything I say to you. And Moses answered, Look at me, I stutter. Why would Pharaoh listen to me? Chapter 7. God told Moses, Look at me. I'll make you as a god to Pharaoh, and your brother Aaron will be your prophet. You are to speak everything I command you, and your brother Aaron will tell it to Pharaoh. Then he will release the Israelites from his land. At the same time, I'm going to put Pharaoh's back up, and follow it up by filling Egypt with signs and wonders. Pharaoh's not going to listen to you, but I will have my way against Egypt and bring out my soldiers, my people the Israelites, from Egypt by mighty acts of judgment. The Egyptians will realize that I am God when I step in and take the Israelites out of their country. Moses and Aaron did exactly what God commanded. Moses was 80, and Aaron was 83 when they spoke to Pharaoh. Then God spoke to Moses and Aaron. He said, "When Pharaoh speaks to you and says, 'Prove yourselves, perform a miracle,' then tell Aaron, 'Take your staff and throw it down in front of Pharaoh, and it will turn into a snake.'" Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and did what God commanded. Aaron threw his staff down in front of Pharaoh and his servants, and it turned into a snake. Pharaoh called in his wise men and sorcerers, the magicians of Egypt, did the same thing by their spells. Each man threw down his staff, and they all turned into snakes. But then Aaron's staff swallowed up their staffs. Yet Pharaoh was as stubborn as ever. He wouldn't listen to them, just as God had said. God said to Moses, "Pharaoh is a stubborn man. He refuses to release the people. First thing in the morning, go and meet Pharaoh as he goes down to the river. At the shore of the Nile, take the staff that turned into a snake and say to him, 'God, the God of the Hebrews, sent me to you with this message. Release my people so that they can worship me in the wilderness.' So far you haven't listened. This is how you'll know that I'm God. I'm going to take this staff that I'm holding and strike this Nile River water. The water will turn to blood, the fish in the Nile will die, the Nile will stink, and the Egyptians won't be able to drink the Nile water." God said to Moses, "Tell Aaron, take your staff and wave it over the waters of Egypt, over its waters, its canals, its ponds, all its bodies of water, so that they turn to blood. There will be blood everywhere in Egypt, even in the pots and pans." Moses and Aaron did exactly as God commanded them. Aaron raised his staff and hit the water in the Nile, with Pharaoh and his servants watching. All the water in the Nile turned into blood. The fish in the Nile died, the Nile stank, and the Egyptians couldn't drink the Nile water. The blood was everywhere in Egypt. But the magicians of Egypt did the same thing with their incantations. Still, Pharaoh remained stubborn. He wouldn't listen to them as God had said. He spun around and went home, never giving it a second thought. But all the Egyptians had to dig inland from the river for water because they couldn't drink the Nile water. 7 days went by after God had struck the Nile. Chapter 8. God said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh and tell him God's message, 'Release my people so they can worship me.' If you refuse to release them, I'm warning you I'll hit the whole country with frogs. The Nile will swarm with frogs. They'll come up into your houses, into your bedrooms, and into your beds, into your servants' quarters, among the people, into your ovens and pots and pans. They'll be all over you and all over everyone. Frogs everywhere, on and in everything." God said to Moses, "Tell Aaron, wave your staff over the rivers and canals and ponds. Bring up frogs on the land of Egypt." Aaron stretched his staff over the waters of Egypt, and a mob of frogs came up and covered the country. But again the magicians did the same thing, using their incantations. They also produced frogs in Egypt. Pharaoh called in Moses and Aaron and said, "Pray to God to rid us of these frogs. I'll release the people so that they can make their sacrifices and worship God." Moses said to Pharaoh, "Certainly, set the time. When do you want the frogs out of here, away from your servants and people and out of your houses? You'll be rid of frogs except for those in the Nile. Make it tomorrow." Moses said, "Tomorrow it is, so you'll realize that there is no God like our God. The frogs will be gone. You and your houses and your servants and your people free of frogs. The only frogs left will be the ones in the Nile." Moses and Aaron left Pharaoh, and Moses prayed to God about the frogs he had brought on Pharaoh. God responded to Moses' prayer. The frogs died off. Houses, courtyards, fields, all free of frogs. They piled the frogs in heaps. The country reeked of dead frogs. But when Pharaoh saw that he had some breathing room, he got stubborn again and wouldn't listen to Moses and Aaron, just as God had said. God said to Moses, "Tell Aaron, take your staff and strike the dust. The dust will turn into gnats all over Egypt." He did it. Aaron grabbed his staff and struck the dust of the earth, and it turned into gnats, gnats all over people and animals. All the dust of the earth turned into gnats, gnats everywhere in Egypt. The magicians tried to produce gnats with their spells, but this time they couldn't do it. There were gnats everywhere, all over people and animals. The magicians said to Pharaoh, "This is God's doing," but Pharaoh was stubborn and wouldn't listen, just as God had said. God said to Moses, "Get up early in the morning and confront Pharaoh. As he goes down to the water, tell him God's message, release my people so they can worship me. If you don't release my people, I'll release swarms of flies on you, your servants, your people, and your homes. The houses of the Egyptians and even the ground under their feet will be thick with flies. But when it happens, I'll set Goshen, where my people live, aside as a sanctuary. No flies in Goshen. That will show you that I am God in this land. I'll make a sharp distinction between your people and mine. This sign will occur tomorrow." And God did just that. Thick swarms of flies in Pharaoh's palace and the houses of his servants, all over Egypt, the country ruined by flies. Pharaoh called in Moses and Aaron and said, "Go ahead, sacrifice to your God, but do it here in this country." Moses said that would not be wise. What we sacrifice to our God would give great offense to the Egyptians. If we openly sacrifice what is so deeply offensive to Egyptians, they'll kill us. Let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness and sacrifice to our God just as he instructed us. Pharaoh said, "All right, I'll release you to go and sacrifice to your God in the wilderness. Only don't go too far now. Pray for me." Moses said, "As soon as I leave here, I will pray to God that tomorrow's flies will leave Pharaoh, his servants, and his people. But don't play games with us and change your mind without releasing us to go sacrifice to God." Moses left Pharaoh and prayed to God. God did what Moses asked. He got rid of the flies from Pharaoh and his servants and his people. There wasn't a fly left, but Pharaoh became stubborn once again and wouldn't release the people. And this concludes today's reading. Today's episode is brought to you by Sugarwood Handyman, where we'll get your honey-do list done. Small jobs, odd jobs, home repairs, and more. To learn more about how Sugarwood Handyman can help you check off your honey-do list, visit facebook.com/sugarwoodhandyman. Remember to find us on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app. Search Andy Reads the Bible. Our podcast page is located at andybible.libsyn.com. Thank you for listening. God bless, and I'll see you tomorrow.